Welcome to the second installment of Glitch in the Matrix stories from Korea. If you missed my previous episodes about glitch stories and glitch dreams, do check them out, links in the description. One of the interesting aspects of glitch stories is that it can cover lots of different phenomena. As you will find from today's stories, they include a disappeared day, mixed-up timelines, potential multi-universe, and warped spatial experience. But one thing is common. They all question the solidity of the physical integrity of our perceived reality. Without further ado, for once, let's delve into 7 allegedly true Glitch in the Matrix stories from Korea. As always, handpicked, translated, and narrated by your host, Anthony. It has literally just happened half an hour ago. I was home with my sister. Mom, who was out then, called my sister's mobile. I didn't hear what Mom had to say, but sister replied, "Okay, Mom," before hanging up. Exactly 8 minutes later, I came into my room to call my boyfriend on my mobile in private. I was ringing my number on conference call mode. Somebody replied, "Okay, Mom." I just thought, who's this? Sounds familiar. But quickly said, "Hello, hello." There was no reply, and then it went offline. I couldn't understand what was going on and checked on my phone and found it was still ringing my boyfriend's number. I wondered if there was some mix-up in the line and ended the call. Except it couldn't be. I was simply ringing the number and the line wasn't yet connected. And then I realized where I heard that "Okay, Mom." That was exactly how my sister answered Mom on the phone. It was the same voice, same tone, same intonation. But how is that even possible that a phone call on my sister's phone can mix up with my phone 8 minutes later? Are we tapped or something? I wonder if there's any scientific explanation at all. I had a friend whom I first met way back in my kindergarten. She suffered some sort of chronic kidney issue. It was quite serious. I still remember her mother would always carry around a urinal to check out on the condition of her urine and check all the ingredients before buying a snack for her. She herself had a very lively character and would carelessly play and jump around until she would collapse and throw up. Her mom asked me to keep a watch on her, and I did. Sometimes even fought off bullies on her behalf. She later presented me a jar full of origami birds as a sign of thanks. Back in my days, overall culture in schools had very little regard about the human rights of students. One day in my middle school, a PE teacher insisted that my friend should join all the physical class activity, citing she could cope whatever she had with her willpower. My friend collapsed with a dehydration, which was very bad news for a person suffering a chronic kidney problem. In the end, an ambulance was called in. In case you are curious, the PE teacher kept his position despite the uproar from parents. I heard she was in and out of consciousness for 3 days, but returned to school a week later. Again, in my time there were little regard to students' right, and sick leave was very limited. Problem was, she returned totally a different person. She used to be active, bubbly, and lively. Many didn't even notice she'd been ill. But now, she became quiet and all limp. Even stranger was she seemed not clearly remembering about me or other friends. It all weirded me out, and we gradually grew apart and eventually lost contact when she moved away. A decade later, my family moved to a new town and found out my old friend was also living in the same area. Since we've known each other from kindergarten, our parents had also known each other well, and the reconnect was actually first made through our parents. Her mother would still recount how kind a friend I had been back then, how her daughter nagged her to help making origami birds as a gift for me, but how she seemed to have forgot it all now, that heartless girl. My friend seemed very awkward to see me again, though of course we both were adults now and had enough social skills to smooth the situation. It was only later, when she was left alone with me, that she confessed that she really didn't remember anything about me. I tried to lighten it up, saying nothing unusual there, our memories sometimes got messed up. But she was serious. She didn't know me at all. She knew we had been friends over a decade from all the photos, but she had absolutely no memory of them all. All she knew was she woke up in the hospital one day, woke up in the world different from the one she had known. People told her that she'd been ill, but she had no memory of such either. It brought me back the memory that the friend indeed got healthy after the hospitalization. By then we were not very close anymore, and I didn't see it myself how and when exactly it came about, but I do remember my mom passing the news to me. I didn't give it a much thought then, but come to think of it now, it was indeed odd that a chronic problem suddenly disappearing like that. Friend continued to explain how difficult it was for her then to wake up in a strange world. At least she was still young and somehow managed to adapt to the new life. Could not imagine how it would be if such a thing happened again now, as an adult, she said. I'm still not sure whether to believe what she said or not. Could be just the issue with her memory due to the physical shock she went through. But to think she indeed came out of hospital a totally different person. Back in my high school, a classmate who had skipped the school the previous day returned and started asking other classmates, "Is it really Friday today? Are you sure? Friday?" He would stop just about anybody to ask the same question. We asked him what was going on, and he said what had happened. On Wednesday night, his family went to bed just as usual, his parents around midnight and he about an hour later. And when they all woke up, it was Friday morning. We all said, no way, he must be joking. But he was dead serious, totally unlike his usual self. None of the family members noticed anything was wrong when they woke up in the morning and started getting ready for the day. Then his dad got a call from his company asking why he hadn't come to work the day before, if everything was okay and if he was coming to work that morning. His dad couldn't believe it first either and called other colleagues and friends to check. And indeed, they skipped Thursday altogether. It couldn't be some sort of temporary amnesia because it happened to all his family at the same time. Could it be something they ate the previous evening? But the friend would say he and his dad each dined out respectively, while his mom ate at home by herself. Could it be some sort of gas leak that knocked them all out? But it was summer and they slept with windows opened. They all slept literally through 48 hours and woke up feeling perfectly normal. Whatever happened to his family's Thursday? Back in 2005, I was preparing for the upcoming SAT. It was already my second try, and I'd been trying to follow the strict timetable day by day. So that day, as usual, I sat on my desk at 8 a.m. The morning fatigue was still on, so I stretched my arms and straightened my back against the back of the chair when I heard my grandma calling me to come to lunch. What? What lunch? I just had breakfast. I thought Grandma was playing a prank on me and checked the clock to find it past noon. I was confused. Had I fell asleep at the desk all morning, I would have got stiff neck and shoulder. I had none such. I tried to brush it off and decided to make up the lost morning after lunch. So I sat at my desk once again and straightened my back. Then I felt the atmosphere around me changing suddenly. It felt somewhat darker. I checked the clock. It was 6 p.m. What the F? I might have dozed off at the desk once again, but I don't believe I did. It wasn't I had a sleepless previous night, and I can't imagine myself sleeping 10 hours at the desk. I just can't understand this lost day. Back in 2006, a project that my company was running was a smashing hit, and we were all overworking to meet demand. In average, the day ended about 11 p.m., sometimes well past 2 or 3 a.m. It was one such a tough day past 2 in the morning, and I and other colleagues were finally heading home. I realized I had left some important backup data in the office. I excused myself to the colleagues and ran back to the office. Fortunately, the security hadn't locked it up yet, so I could fetch the file from my desk. On the way to the metro station, I kept feeling as if I was watched from behind, even though I couldn't see a soul on the street so late an hour. To fend off the creepy feeling, I put on the music on my phone. As I carried on walking, I heard some swishing noise in between the music. At first I thought it was noise from the corrupt music file, but same noise was heard from the next track too. Grabbed by a sudden impulse, I turned around to look behind me, but there was nothing but the street lamp. I just speeded up my walk. But strangely, I didn't seem to be reaching the station. It would have just taken about 10 minutes usually, but after 6 to 7 songs, the station wasn't even in sight. Creepy feeling intensified. Even the street lamp ahead of me seemed strangely bright. Having no other options, I walked and even started running, but the road ahead seemed endless. Had I been possessed by something? Could I have lost my way in the dark? At the end of 24th track of the playlist of my phone, I could still not see the station. An average song was about 3 minutes, and that should mean it had been already over an hour that I'd been walking. But all I could see was blindingly bright street lamp. Suddenly I noticed I was passing a sidewalk. It was dark without a street lamp. I took that way, despite of myself. In less than 5 minutes, I reached the station. I was totally confused, but sense of relief was still bigger. Then I saw my work colleagues coming towards from afar. They were surprised to find me there just as much, asking if I hadn't been back to the office after all, how I could arrive the station before them. I asked in return what took them so long, but they replied it took just as much as any usual day, and saw nobody walking past them either. A female colleague told us to stop being strange so late at night, and so we parted our ways. I happened to share a cab with another colleague, whose place was in the same direction. In the cab, he asked me again how I could come to the station so fast, if there was some shortcut. Only then I realized there was no shortcut or sideways between the office and the station, nor a street lamp for that matter. What would have been waiting for me had I continued my walk through that road with bright street lamps? And what was that dark side walk, and what made me to take it? Then I realized, and then became so grateful for my mom. That dark little sidewalk that felt somehow familiar to me was the way that I used to take to visit my late mom's tomb. It happened when I was 7. I was in the first year of primary school. Between classes there was usually a 10-minute break, but the break between second and third class was twice as long. Of course, I would make a good use of it. It was a nice sunny day, and I was out on the playground with the 3 other boys playing a game. Suddenly I noticed there were nobody on the playground other than us. There were no bells signaling the end of the break, nor anybody calling for us. We really didn't know any better, so just carried on playing our game for quite some time. By the time we came back to our classroom, even for us that had been a bit too long a time, there was a drama going on. Almost everybody was out and about to look for us, who had been missing for 2 hours. Could they have been kidnapped, just gone back home? While some classmates running out to call our homeroom teacher, I saw through the window that there were whole classmates out searching for us on the playground. But there was nobody just now when we were playing. The teacher tried to keep her calm and asked me where I had been. I told the only story I could tell, that we'd been playing a game right in the middle of the playground. She called me a liar. The whole class had been searching around. How could they have missed if I were really playing on the playground? I didn't know what more I could say and started crying. The teacher then tried to calm me down. "But were you playing all by yourself all the while?" she asked. I said no and gave the name of 3 mates I had been playing, and looked back at them behind me, only to find none there. Teacher called in the 3 mates, and their story was that I was indeed playing the game with them during the break, but suddenly disappeared. They reported it to other teacher, and all the while they had been a part of the search team. But then who were the 3 I had been playing with? And where was I if others could not see me? When I was a child, my mom often sent me out to the corner shop to fetch little things that she might have forgot from her weekly shoppings. One evening I was coming back from such an errand, carrying some drinks and snacks. I saw a couple in the middle of the road, wrapped in each other's arms and looking into each other's eyes. Problem was, they weren't moving at all, as if the time had stopped for them. I looked at them for a good few minutes, and all the while they didn't move and spoke nothing. Anyway, I came back home, and Mom sent me out again shortly after because dishwashing liquid was out. Oh, Mom. That strange couple was still there at the same spot, frozen in the same embrace. I started freaking out and ran past them. By the time I returned from the shop, they were still there. Out of curiosity, I turned back before I entered my house to steal one last look at them, and they were gone. It was just a short time that I walked past them to the door of the house. Funny thing is, I wasn't the only one who saw them. There was another passerby who clearly saw them too. My confused and wondering eyes searching for the disappeared couple was met by equally confused eyes of his. He just quickly carried on walking away, and I too went into the house. Hi, it's Anthony here, and thank you very much for your listening. As I mentioned in the first episode about glitch stories, glitch in the matrix is one of my favorite subjects in the paranormal horror genre. Unfortunately, it's not entirely common in Korea, and I've saved them a while for the second episode, and today was the day. I hope you enjoyed them. Where I am now is all grey, wet and horrible. I can't really get used to this time of the year into December, but then it still is the best time to read all the weird, scary stories, isn't it? If you haven't yet, please consider giving my videos a thumbs up, subscribing to my channel, and sharing with others. I still need more of your love till the channel could take off. Until the next, have a wonderful week and stay safe.